Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Welcome, friends of Hong Kong. I didn't know the title was called Star Behind the Scenes. It's a bit embarrassing, right? Anyway, as Rahina said, I've been working in the film industry for 35 years. In fact, I started around this time because I remember clearly that I went to the Taiwan Golden Horse Awards, which was this time of the year. And when I came back, I started working at Cinema City, which for those of you who likes Hong Kong films would know that in the 80s was one of the most prominent film companies in Hong Kong. In 1984, I started a film production company with my partner, the acclaimed director Choi Hak. And so Film Workshop has been around for 32 years. We've produced just about 60 films. And other than these 60 films, which I've been very involved with, I've also been independent producers on other films. So maybe I've been involved in 70 films in my life, directly involved. So in the 80s, when I first started working for Cinema City, I was very fortunate because I knew nothing. I didn't study films. I studied computer science, which makes sense, of course, absolutely. And then by accident, I went into the film business. And but the first film I was a little bit involved with was called Aces Go Places, Zui Gai Pak Dong. And it became the highest box office film in Hong Kong. That's how, I was very, very lucky. I'm even more blessed in another way because I've been part of two of the most important periods of Chinese language filmmaking in contemporary times. First was the 80s when I started, with Cinema City. At the time, very quickly after Aces Go Places came out, because we looked at ourselves and said, wow, we feel very good. What should we do? We said, we read newspapers and people go to the Cannes Film Festival. So maybe some of us should go to the Cannes Film Festival with our film. I went. I was the representative, but when I got there, I realized I was feeling quite good. We made the box office #1 film in Hong Kong. When I got there, I felt like one grain of sand in the desert. I felt so small. I was very humbled. I really started learning the film business. However, I discovered that the world was a very large place and there was a market maybe for our films. Long story short, very quickly Hong Kong cinema exploded on the international scene. In those days, which film historians now call the golden era of Hong Kong cinema, about 10 years from the early 80s to early 90s, if you went to any video shop in any major city in the world, for instance, Finac on Champs-Élysées in France, you would see if they have 40 racks of, well, actually, they were called laser discs, if you remember, laser discs and VHS tapes. If there were 40 racks, 4 racks would be Hong Kong movies, by director, by genre. If you go to Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard, Los Angeles, same thing. But of course, unfortunately, in the early 90s, for various reasons, which would take 3 days to tell you, Hong Kong film industry went into decline. But I've always been very blessed. 2 major periods. One was Hong Kong, and the second is China. I'll just go into a little bit of background. The economic reforms in China started in 1978, but the reforms for the film industry only started in 2001, 2002, which is, quite a bit later. The government really wanted to have a healthy, commercially oriented film industry. So in 2001 and 2002, it started a number of policies and initiatives across all aspects of filmmaking, from production, which allowed many more people to do co-productions in China, to video distribution ownership, to cinema ownership, to across all the different areas which involve films. Thus, the results, as you all know, from 2003, I would like to just remind you, to give you the background, in 2001, 2002, Hong Kong's box office was Hong Kong dollars 800 million a year. China's box office, the population, was also 800 million RMB a year. So whenever I go to these public occasions, I say, please watch China and the cinema industry because it's going to explode. And it did. From 2003 onwards to date, every year up to last year, every year is a double-digit growth. One year was like 62%. But of course, the starting point was very low. In 2002, the number of effective screens in China was 2,000. To date, it's about 40,000. So obviously, the box office went up, the number of screens went up, together with the sort of new middle class emerging. So this is another part of the incredible, unprecedented, anywhere in the world, this kind of growth. I would like to emphasize, I cannot emphasize more enough, not because I'm from Hong Kong. I think the Hong Kong filmmakers made a huge contribution to the film industry, the growth of the film industry in China. The reason is because previously in China, films are considered, one, propaganda. You made propaganda films, or secondly, artistic films. Whereas Hong Kong filmmakers are very, very commercially minded. So those earlier ones, like me and a lot of my fellow filmmakers, going to China, we were able to share with them our almost 30 years of knowledge in the international market. How to cut a trailer, how to write a script which is commercial, how to do posters, how to plan your film so that before it's ready, you count back and you say, which festivals do I have to go to, which markets, how do I pre-sell it, all of this. But of course, in China, they've picked it up very, very, very quickly now. But again, it's still, it's slowing down a little bit this year, but because of, again, many, many reasons. But still, it's going to grow. It's going to become eventually the biggest market. It's now number 2 in the world after the United States in terms of box office. It will soon become, I can't say how long, but it will become the biggest market in the world. So back to Hong Kong. So people are saying, always asking me, well, Hong Kong is dead then, But I don't think that's true. I think about 3, 4 years ago, if you asked me 3, 4 years ago, it did seem for a while that Hong Kong film industry was kind of not sure where we're going, none of the films were working. But I'm very pleased and happy to share with you that I think in the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen a whole crop of young new directors who have been making, some of them make films with a very strong Hong Kong local cultural values, which may sometimes also can be imported into China. But the principal market for them is to make movies for Hong Kong and outside of ex-China markets. I give you some examples. A young man called Juno, he made a film called Rigor Mortis, which is about vampires, which would not be able to pass the censorship in China. One of our biggest hurdles is that there is still a censorship in China. So there's Juno Mack who did Rigor Mortis, very well-made film. There are a number of films called, there's a fellow called Adam Chang, he made a film called, I can't remember the English name now, The Way We Dance. The Way We Dance, She Remembers, He Forgets. A number of really touching, and box office did very, very well. Many young new directors, I think at least 20 in the last 3 or 4 years. In particular, I would like to share with you that last weekend, last Saturday, was the Golden Horse Awards, which is the biggest Chinese language awards outside of China. But it accepts all films from China, Hong Kong, as long as it's Chinese language. So for us, it's a very major award. There were 2 prizes won by Chinese directors. One was the best new director from Hong Kong, who did his first film. And the other, he didn't win, but his film, there were 2 leading actresses, and both of them got Best Actress Award. And this young man is actually famous, a son of a very famous filmmaker entertainer in Hong Kong, Eric Zhang, Zhang Jiwei's son, Derek Zhang. I produced his first movie, which was very arty and not commercial, unfortunately. And this is his second movie, but as the second-time director, he produced a movie, he directed a movie where the 2 leading actresses were awarded the 2 Best Actress in the Golden Horse Awards. And in China, it did a box office of 167 or 76 million. So, these young new directors, some are, the directions you take, some decide, I want to try and learn the China market, so they go and live in Beijing and hang out and try to absorb the culture so they can make movies which work in China. Some say, no, I'm just going to stay in Hong Kong and make my kind of movie. And if I make my kind of movie which works for Hong Kong audience, but maybe can spill over to China, I'm going to do that too. So if you're, like, I'm sure you're all Hong Kong lovers, so the Hong Kong film industry is not dead. It's very much very vibrant now, with many, many young, promising new directors. That's all I have to say. Thank you.